I grew up in South Philadelphia. And as a young boy, I would ride my bicycle in front of my parents' house and ride it around and around and around in a circle in front of my parents' house. Because we had a rule. And that rule was you could not leave the sight of the front door. So we were allowed to play outside. But everywhere we could go, the limit was we could not leave the sight of the front door. We had to always be looking and be able to see the front door of our house, no matter where we were. Well, one day I was out riding my bicycle and I was happy to get outside. I remember it was a spring morning and riding around and around in a circle. And the area that we lived in, it was predominantly Italian people that lived there. But the neighborhood was going through a transition. There was African American people moving in and the Italians were moving out. There was some sort of racism going on. Well, this particular day, I was riding my bicycle around and around when one of the neighbor boys, he was a lot older than I was, he stood right in front of my path and put his hand out, stop, and he grabbed the handlebar of my bike and brought me to a complete stop. Well, I looked at him and he looked at me and I was like, why'd you do that? What do you want? I said, what do you want? And he said, what are you doing? What are you doing here? You're not from around here, are you? And I looked at him and was thinking, well, I've lived here for several years and I've ridden my bike in front of my house almost every day for the last several years. And yes, I am from around here. I live right there. And pointed to my house. And he said, well, your people, you're a little different, aren't you? I said, you're friends with African people, aren't you? And I looked at him and I said, well, there's nothing wrong with being friends with African people. And in my mind, there was no difference. I said, yes, we are. He said, you had some people at your house the other week and they were outside playing and I saw that. And I got to thinking about the other week. Oh yes, there was an Indian family. A pastor and his family had come to visit and they had a daughter and a son and we were outside playing together. I said, yes, that is correct. He said, oh, well, then you're not welcome in this neighborhood. Oh, well, I got to thinking, who is he to tell me this? And you're not allowed to ride your bike here. And I got to thinking, why would he tell me that? Who is he to tell me that? He's not a grown-up. He's a boy just like I am, just that he's several years older than I am. And he had two other friends with him, one on either side. And I looked at the three of them and I thought, well, if I get in a fight with them, I couldn't beat three of them up. And they're a lot bigger than I am, a lot stronger. And I could probably take on one of them, but three of them, nah, I can't do that. So I turned my bike around and thinking, wow, I'll just ride around in front of my house going the other way. Instead of going this way, I'll go the other way. Instead of going clockwise, I go counterclockwise. Well, I started to do that, and he still grabbed my bike and wouldn't let go. And I thought, well, if he wants the bike, okay, take it. And I left the bike go, and I started to walk away. But when I did that, he wasn't finished with me. He had his fists out. He was all ready to beat me up, and he was angry, and somehow I wasn't responding to the questions like he wanted me to. And so he wasn't finished. But I was finished. So I turned around and started to walk back to my house. And I thought, well, maybe I'll come back. After this guy leaves, I'll come back and get my bike. So I go to walk back to my house. And as I do that, he goes and he picks up a stone on the sidewalk, a big stone with sharp edges, and he throws it. And I didn't see it coming because I had turned my head. And this stone came and it hit me right on the side of my head. And it made a nice little puncture in my head. And blood started running down the side of my face. And I put my hand up there and brought it back. And my whole hand was just covered in blood. And I started to panic. I said, oh no, my brains are starting to leak out. So I quickly ran into the house and said, Mom, look what the neighbors did. Look what the neighbors did to me. And my dad, he saw the blood running down the side of my face. And he jumped up, put his shoes on, ran out of the house, and started yelling, who did this? Who did this? Who threw the stone at my son? And my mom took me up to the bathroom and started to wash and clean me up. And I was angry. I said, I want to beat those guys up. I want to beat them up. You know, give me one-on-one with that one guy, I would have beat him up too. I would have beat him up so much. But my mom, as she's there taking the washcloth and washing the side of my face, she said, you know, that's not the right response. Yes, what he did was wrong. But what we need to do is do what the Bible says. And it says in Proverbs 25, verses 21 and 22, it says, if your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. If he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For you will heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you. And my mom said, what we need to do is we need to heap burning coals on his head. And I got to thinking, wow, that'll be so neat to take burning coals and just to pour it over his head. I got to vision that and thinking, wow, I would love to do that. That'd make me feel pretty good, knowing that he has burning coals on his head. But my mom said, the response we need to have is a response of love. And you know, that stuck with me. And that still sticks with me. You know, in the news, we hear a lot of news about people that have did wrong, did evil. But you know, the response that we need to have is a response of love. And I see a lot of response even from Christian people. Even on Facebook, I read some responses and realize a lot of these responses are not responses of love. So my challenge for myself is what my mother challenged me with, and that is to respond evil with good. To heap those burning coals of love on our enemies' heads. God bless. Go in love.